Hello everyone and welcome back to PAX and Recreation, and today we are lost and confused. Even though this is not the art for lost and confused, but I don't have a playmat with Fibbleput, but you know what day it is? It's podcast day, and I thought we should open something different again. But instead of going to a different card game, which we can, I have a lot of flesh and blood there, we're going to do a different Magic the Gathering product than usual. Remember this one? So you can really tell like right away because the packaging it was different back then, but team boosters from Guilds of Ravnica. And I also have one for Ravnica Allegiance. That was remember when blocks were like 3 sets, and sometimes it was like over 2 years because they started like mid-year, and damn. So I don't think we're gonna open this like in a later podcast, I guess. But Guilds of Ravnica comes first. And before I start opening, just to give some context on what this is, because I mean the other option was, I guess, to open this as part of the normal episode, but I don't know, it's a mix between I don't have much to say about this besides Ravnica, and there's also not that many topics. Like we are it's a weird spot right now if you play Magic. I mean, it's a good spot, but we'll talk about that in a second. This is from Magic 25. This is also when the like now they do it like more discreet. I don't know why. I like it that it's so noisy. At the same time, it's so noisy that you can't read some of the stuff in here. But let me remove the plastic. That makes it easier on our studio lighting. The studio quality cameras that we have at the PAX and Recreation Studios at Orlando, Florida. So if you are old enough to kind of catch that reference, that was a reference to a lot of like Nickelodeon shows. It's like, oh, this was recorded at the Orlando, where they had like, I think it was maybe there that they had the Nickelodeon studios where they recorded like Legends of the Hidden Temple and all that stuff. Man, that shit was crazy. I'm old. So this is kind of like a booster box, but not really. It was Team Boosters. Team Boosters is the thing that they stopped doing. And then they started doing Jumpstart boosters, which is kind of the same, but not really. In the case of Guilds of Ravnica, it kind of makes sense to make team boosters because, well, you do team boosters based on the guilds, right? You have 5 here, and you have the other 5 on Ravnica Allegiance. This lasted until, I think, Kamigawa Neon Dynasty was one of the latest sets to have team boosters. And but this is a great example of why sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. If you look at this, it says you have the guilds, right? Like Dimirs or Selesnya, Izzet, or Boros and Golgari, and in the other you have the other 5. And let's players pick the colors they want and upgrade their favorite decks. Every card in a team booster can go in a deck of that guild's colors, so players can be confident. So this makes a lot of sense for the Ravnica theme because, well, guilds, right? So, and the set is called Guilds of Ravnica. So, I mean, it can be more obvious than that. But for other things, not so much. I remember that in Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, you could only get like, it was like 1 per color, right? It was like white, blue, black, red, green. And yes, technically each of those colors is kind of associated with an archetype, but then it was like, and then ninja. And then if you look at online, you can find like the team boosters for like Kamigawa fairly cheap, except ninja. Ninja really was sold out. And there's a reason for that. It's because ninja was an actual theme. The others were just colors. So here it makes sense, and at the same time it doesn't. Is a mix between, we need colors, I guess. And these boxes are also like a relic of a different era. Look at this. You're supposed to open this. Actually, I normally don't do it, but I'm going to do it because, you know. So you're supposed to grab this like this. Actually, let me pull the camera up because we do this podcast dynamically, baby. So something like this, right? More or less. Good thing that the rest of the background was clean. So you're supposed to like pop this. This is a thing that this is something that sounds kind of stupid, but you know how they say, how people like complain that it's like, oh, everything in Hollywood and in games and everything is remasters, remakes, everything is just nostalgia. I mean, they're doing Avatar now, and if we're gonna talk specifically about like card games, and let's be honest, that's really just nostalgia again, right? I don't quite get what is this for though. Like there's this line in here. I assumed, or maybe it's to fit this. I don't know. So you remove this, right? You have this. You remove it. This is just here because I guess nowadays they got so good at packaging technology that this is no longer useful. And you have your booster Enos here. You will see these at the store. This is kind of interesting. And yes, a part of me, this is what I was talking about. Like, nostalgia is a big thing, and everyone's like, oh, I don't know why they keep doing things nostalgic. It's like, well, it pisses me off too, but there is a reason why they do things nostalgic. Like, what reason do I have, for example, well, not only to buy this, it was because it was cheap, but then not only because, like, to open the display and put it like this. There is a part of me that really just wants to keep the display like this, displayed somewhere in my house. You know what I mean? It's that aesthetic of when you were younger and you went to like the shop or the supermarket or the TCG or whatever, toy store or whatever, and you saw these behind the counter, and to you this was like the forbidden fruit. You know what I mean? It's like you saw these and you're like, man. And part of your kid's fantasy, like this can be a lot of things. It can be the Fleer Ultra cards, it can be Pokemon, it can be Yugi, it can be some other collectibles, right? I guess for kids nowadays, it will be Labubos and Italian brain rot things, but which, I mean, it's kind of cool, I get it. But the thing is that, and Pogs too, right? And maybe Beyblades, when they sold like pieces of Beyblades in the back, stuff like that. Why nostalgia works? Because when you're a kid, you want certain things, and unless you were a rich kid, you really, it's not like you can get your hands on everything. And it's really that you're a rich kid. You're a kid with rich parents. That's kind of it. And it's not really even rich parents. It's parents that just give you everything, which is not bad as long as, I guess, you tell the children like it's not a granted thing or there is some sort of reward mechanism implemented. I don't know. Because otherwise it feels like everything is too easy. And, for people that gets older, the reason why nostalgia hits is because, well, now you have money. Maybe you're not rich, but now you have money and you are seeing the same things. But now you're playing with power. Like now you can buy those. You know what I mean? Like now you have money. So, and these kids, I mean, this was 5 years ago, 6, if you look at 25 and we're at the year 31st of Magic. So this is not like something from when I was a kid. This was just because, but the aesthetic, right? I feel like you can get behind this. Like it really feels like, you know what I mean? Like it's a different thing. And yes, this is less boosters than a play booster box. And then there's also this that honestly I don't know what this thing is for. I guess it will be to put this there, but so this will be like the display. So as you can see, you have the Guilds of Ravnica team boosters. They are from each guild. Well, from the 5 that were featured in Guilds of Ravnica, because they couldn't fit all of them. We also did some other Ravnica themed products around the Ravnica remaster. Remember that? That was so long ago. You can check the videos here, I guess. And well, let's kind of do an opening and let's see. Now, I do insist that doing themes with guilds makes sense. Because as they say, you can just put stuff in your decks and you have the colors. It makes more sense than just like blue, black, because that's not really themed. It's more like color pick boosters, but whatever. So these ones are made in USA, so I'm curious about the smell of those. And choose your guild, Dimir, Shadowy Spies and Infiltrators. Enhance your Dimir deck. I love that they copyrighted, they trademark every guild name. With 35 cards from Guilds of Ravnica, including at least 1 rare or mythic rare cards. Add 25 lands to start building a 60-card deck. not bad. So I'm just going to show you like the guilds when we have it, but in the meantime, we're just going to talk about stuff. And for better or worse, in the world of Magic, TCG is to a degree, there is not that much happening. How the hell do you open this? Nowadays, if they do this nowadays, they will have like a, like those like things that they have for everything now. I mean, I'm trying to ninja this one, but I mean, obviously you can just rip it apart from here, I guess, or from here in the bottom. But I'm trying to, well, I guess F in the chat. I don't know. I mean, there's no value in here. It's just like me trying to open it like properly, but And now this is kind of cool. So you get this more useless cardboard to protect your premium cardboard, and you get this thing that is kind of cool. It's like a card divider. I mean, it's not really a divider, but it's like a holder. I don't know. There is no use for this, but it's kind of cool. I mean, I do love the Guilds of Ravnica, and I think that everyone that plays Magic, I think that for a lot of people, like the second youth of Magic came with the Ravnica, when Ravnica was introduced. Like the whole concept of like pairs of colors having an identity, a feeling, a philosophy. That thing is something that I to this day, I freaking love this. They have logos, color identities, like you put two colors together. So they are, for example, Dimir, they are like blue and black. So they're like sneaky spies and all that stuff, right? So I love it. And I kind of don't like it that nowadays the guilds are kind of softened. And that's actually a good topic. I read recently, like, TLDR, we have no significant news today, besides the fact that a lot of people got their The Office secret layers or Dwight secret layers, and a lot of the extra cards or promo cards are other characters from The Office, like Kevin with the chili spilled on the floor and stuff like that, and that's pretty cool. It's a shame that people couldn't get their hands on that. And this week, they released they opened the sale for the secret layer that was like the Encyclopedia of Magic. Actually, I'm not going to divide this by color. I'm just going to divide them by guild. I think it's cleaner. And that was a very interesting offering with actually good value, but it sold out faster than any other secret layer. Obviously, there's already people selling them on eBay for 700 and all that. And yeah, so a lot of people are angry. It's like a cycle, and it really illustrates why Magic the Gathering players do not have the same agency as D&D players. And you can be like, well, that's different, because for D&D you don't need to buy anything. You can just do your campaign, and everything happens on your imagination. And it's like, true. But for Magic, you can also kind of just proxy everything, I guess, or play online for free in a lot of things. Like, I don't think you need to spend money on Magic, but Magic has this culturally. This is a thing that Magic always had. Magic has this thing embedded into its DNA that is part of what made it successful. That is the collectible aspect, or more like the speculative aspect of it. And since the beginning, there is that famous letter in the Duelist, I think it was, the magazine, saying like, hey guys, I know we realize you're all pissed because we are reprinting cards, so don't worry, we're not going to reprint them anymore so that you can keep your value. Because some people complained, and because they were treating them as collectibles and as baseball cards, which, I mean, is a trading card game, so that makes sense. But it kind of, since the beginning, cemented the base for, you know what, these things have value, even though it's just cardboard. So, plus, there is an aspect to, in the US, it's a lot easier for someone to attribute value to something, right? Like, that's where that famous phrase comes from. Like, someone's trash is someone else's treasure. And I think it applies more in the US than in any other country in the world, to be honest. And that's not a bad thing. I kind of behave like that to a degree. By the way, the rare we get is Etrata, the Silencer. I'm just gonna read the. I'm going slow so that you guys can see them and all that because it's kind of nostalgic, but and a double ad. God damn, like Magic Arena was a thing, and the MTG portal. Play Magic, download for free. Is this thing even still around? I don't think so. Which is ironic because it's just like a life counter. Unlock 3 boosters with the code Play Ravnica. Go ahead and try that, guys. So Etrata the Silencer for 2/1 black and 1 blue is a 3/5 vampire assassin. Very demure. Etrata the Silencer can't be blocked. Whenever Etrata, I don't know, deals combat damage to a player, exile target creature that player controls and put a hit counter on that card. That player loses the game if they own 3 or more exile cards with hit counters on them. Etrata's owner shuffles the Etrata into their library. Damn. Okay, so as long as you have things to tutor her, I guess you should be fine. Actually, let's do it like the cool way. Something like this. I mean, it's only 5 guilds in this box, so it should be something along these lines. I'm going to keep pulling in the order that they are here, right? So otherwise I will Dimir twice, which will be better for my sanity, but so I think Magic always had this component, and to this day you can really tell. But we're with Secret Lair we have this discussion, right? It's like Wizard says that people were complaining that Secret Lair is too long, and that's why they changed it to limited prints instead of printing to demand, which okay. I saw some people complaining, but the thing is, and this really feels like a mafia plot thing, the thing that Wizards is referring is because some Secret Lairs took some time to be delivered, but mostly it was this deck. I think it was like the Tails I win, Heads you lose, or something like that. By the way, is it Mad Genius Magical Scientists? And also, sorry, I forgot to show the back of the booster, but Mad Genius Magical Scientists. And then, or are them. Now, it doesn't work unless you keep the is it part of it. An anti-stealing thing, because, see, this is a rare pool. It's not in every booster. So, the thing is, the reason why most people complain is because that deck took over a year to be delivered. And it really feels, I mean, I don't want to get conspiranoid, but it really feels like that was done on purpose, so that, people will complain, and then they could be like, oh, we've seen so many people complain, we're switching it to FOMO mode. And now you guys, I don't know why I pronounce that like Seth from like Goldfish. And now people are complaining from FOMO mode. I love that the guy has like a very, I remember seeing a short from Seth from like MTG Goldfish, where he pulled a very expensive card and suddenly he lost his YouTuber voice. He went from like, hey guys, welcome to this video. We're going to see what cards are we going to pull? And suddenly he pulls like, imagine a good card and goes like, God damn, this thing is cool. Like immediately his speech pattern changed. I don't know if the short is named like that, but I think that if you search for it, you should be able to find it. I mean, I like the guy. I have nothing but respect for him, but that one I found funny. So yeah, they change it to FOMO mode, and now people get angry because, well, the only Secret Lairs that you can buy are the ones that no one cares about, and all the others just are sold out, and they are still taking a lot of time to be delivered. So it's not like now it's like insta speed, like they are sold out and a week later they are being shipped. Not really, although it should be like that, right? I mean, if they they have a limited numbers because that number is already set out, you know what I mean? But yeah, so it really feels like there is some conspiracy here, but people, and this is my whole point, Magic players are really like moth to a flame. It's like, oh, goddamn Wizards, I freaking Secret Lair, I hate it. Next drop, oh my god, shit, it's so cool, I'm gonna try and be in line for it. and you like get kicked from the line and you can't get this. Yeah, god damn! And there's like 100 posts on 100, sometimes 500 posts on different places saying, "Oh, the Secret Lair is shit. I never hate these guys." Blah, blah. It's like, okay, next drop. Oh man, it's fucking cool. And like, it's the ordeal of Sisyphus. Really, it gets to a point that it's just like. I mean, I am kind of like this. To be honest, the only recent Secret Lair that I kind of tried to get my hands on was the Final Fantasy one. And I say kind of because I was like, oh yeah, it's today. And I tried and I couldn't. And I think I tried with the Office one, but I wasn't like waiting in line for it or anything. I just remember that it was, and then I tried and they kicked me out. So I kicked me out meaning like, oh, no more stock. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess. So for Izzet, the cards that we have are Expansion and Explosion. I love it when they do like they did this double cards and the names are like similar, not rhyming, but it's like similar words. Although in this case they kind of rhyme too. So expansion is either one blue or one red, or one blue and one red, and that's another topic for Commander. Actually, I think we can touch on that one. And says copy target instant or sorcery spell with converted mana cost 4 or less. You may choose new targets for the copy. An explosion costs X. 2 blue and 2 red, and there's an instant that says it deals X damage to any player, to any target. Target player draws X cards. And another red, because it's the way these boosters are built. So that's most of the drama right now is with Secret Lair and Golgari, Resilient Masters of Decay. But most of the things that are being shown for Avatar are being very well received. People are very happy about it. People are very excited about it. Even people that don't necessarily like love Avatar. And I have to say, all the things that they have been showing, I am getting kind of hyped for the set. And I had like zero expectations. And I mean, not because I like. I think I said this multiple times already. I like Avatar. Just the original, like, not movie, not any freaking other thing. I like Avatar. I watched it as an adult. Like it's not part of my childhood. Fun fact: it was kind of around when I was younger. I don't know in which year was Avatar released, but I remember it was on TV when I was younger, like in the prime Avatar era, and I couldn't care less. I remember that I didn't like the aesthetic because I was raised with anime. So I was a purist since I was a child. And Avatar has this weird aesthetic that is like American anime. I don't know how even to describe it. It's not really American cartoon style. It's not comic book style, and it's not anime style. It's kind of a weird hybrid that it has its charm. But back then when I was a kid, I was like, I don't understand why this thing looks like this. It was like very confusing, right? And I didn't. Wait, these cards don't smell bad. They smell like dry cardboard to a degree. Like, okay. So I never kind of gave it too much of a thought when I was an adult. When I was an adult, as if I'm not anymore. Later, as an adult, and I think it was around the pandemic. I think I actually the art, not the art itself. I actually gave it a chance. And really liked it. Then tried to watch Legend of Korra, and it didn't click for some reason. And then I had to I postponed it, and then I tried again, But and I don't want to start a debate about Korra, even though there is some things you can say. But I liked it. I mean, it's simple, but it doesn't treat kids like they are stupid. That's why it works with adults too, I guess. And I really liked, and I think it was good that I watched it as an adult. Like I didn't have any nostalgia for it. I don't have any nostalgia for it, but as an older person, I could understand and appreciate more like all the subtle details. Like they use different types of martial arts for different types of bending, and some political tints here and there and stuff like that. Nothing too complex, but sometimes as a kid you just care about pew pew and that's it, right? So we get Guild Mages Forum, which is a shame because it's a very useful card. At the same time, it doesn't have anything to do with Golgari. 1 and tap, add 1 mana of any color. It gives you one colorless, but you could pay 1 and tap, you add 1 mana of any color. If that mana is spent on a multicolor creature spell, that creature enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. And the add. So, when they announced like the Avatar set, I was like, okay, I mean, as I established already, like to me, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are the shit. And also, even Spider-Man. I mean, I consider myself strongly more of a Spider-Man person than an Avatar person. And this is no shame at Avatar at all. It's just like, again, I was raised with Spider-Man. So, and I really like it. And even though the writers hate Peter and all that. So Boros is the Zealous army of Ravnica, which is something that they are trying to erase, by the way, because I do feel that Boros, as time goes on, they are making them like more heroic. And it's like, Boros is kind of like, Boros should feel wrong. It should feel like too rash, too like zealous, overzealous. You know what I mean? And now they treat them too much like a heroic army nowadays. And I think I feel like they are trying to badwash all the guilds. When the joke is that all the guilds are not bad, but none of them are perfect, and that's kind of the point. But I digress. Ironically, as I said, I don't have any problem with Universes Beyond as long as they do the sets properly. I felt like Doctor Who decks were pretty well done, and that got me into Doctor Who. And I feel like the Avatar cards that I'm seeing and everything, it's pretty well done, which I can't say that for Spider-Man, and that's actually bad. And for the Ninja Turtles, I am kind of scared because I want the Ninja Turtles cards. I want the Ninja Turtles set to be good because I like Ninja Turtles. But, if a person doesn't like one of the, it's one of those things. If you only like the IP and you get into Magic because of it, I mean, imagine a lot of people like Spider-Man and they are kind of, I guess, happy with the set, only to understand that the set is not that good and most of the cards are there are like, or they don't have anyone to play with, like a standard or whatever. I mean, no one plays a standard, but like they go to a Friday Night Magic because they read about it or whatever, and no one plays and everyone tells them, oh, the set is bad. So, what's going to make them feel? And, everyone knows who Spider-Man is. He's the most popular superhero in the world together with Batman. But I don't think a lot of people are excited about it. But Avatar is kind of interesting because I feel like, yes, it has a lot of fans. It's big for millennials and it's big in the US. Also in other countries, of course, but it's big in the US. It was like the good serious series from Nickelodeon that is not SpongeBob. Because I feel like Nickelodeon is always like the funny things, like SpongeBob, the Thornberrys, even As Told by Ginger, what's it called? Or Raven? No, Raven. That's or Raven is another one. It's As Told by Ginger, I think it is. That was kind of serious, it was a size of life thing, but the reason why they created Avatar is because, well, they were missing a quote-unquote serious show because, Cat Dog, all that, I love that stuff, but I mean, none of that is like a narrative with serious stakes and all that. So there came Avatar. Hey Arnold is great, by the way. Real Monsters is also great. Rugrats is great, but again, you're missing like a thing, right? Citywide Bust for 1 and 2 white is a sorcery. Destroy all creatures with toughness 4 or greater. Okay, and it says, oh, you fellas are going to love the lockup. Excellent gruel, very low ceilings. Livius, Boros Surgeon. See, they are supposed to be like this. They are supposed to be douchebags. Well, I mean, not 100%, but at least a little bit. So yeah, Avatar fills that spot. Now they have the Ninja Turtles too. So I guess there is that. And they try to repeat the magic with Korra, but it's not bad. It's just not the same, I guess. And again, I don't have any lens for nostalgia. I watch them kind of back to back. But I actually, looking at the cards and thinking, well, this set is actually well done. I hope that the Ninja Turtles one is also well done. And by the way, the last type of guild that we have here is Celestia. Keepers and Defenders of Nature. And I do wish that a lot of people watch Avatar because of the set. Like they see the cards and they're like, I'm curious. Ironically, the only thing where it seems so far, because I mean I haven't seen all the cards. I don't think all the cards are revealed yet. And obviously the collector boosters are already they aren't even out yet, and people are already reselling them for like very expensive, because of course that's the hobby that we are in. But there are some things that showing some love. For example, the secret layers. There is one that is just for the cabbage seller, and that's kind of funny. I think that the only fumble that I've seen so far for the Avatar set is really like the special guest cards. In Final Fantasy, the cards that were literally like screenshots from the game or like original concept art, and they were like they're actually like Final Fantasy skins of cards that are already existing. I like those cards because I like the original art. And for Avatar, they went with literal screenshots from the show. Now, if you know anything about Avatar, you know that especially the first season, it didn't have like the best quality, like graphical quality, like signal quality. It looks very shaky, and there is remasters, fan remasters. It looks savageable, and the resolution was kind of low. You can tell that Nickelodeon was like, "Yeah, I mean, do your show about kung fu or whatever," and then they saw that it was successful. It's like, "Oops, push the budget." So the problem is that they went with literal screenshots for those cards, dude, and they don't look good at all. They look bad. As an Avatar person, they look bad from an aesthetic standpoint. I don't think those are the best screenshots, and some of them look very blurry because they are literally screenshots. It's like you just grab the snipping tool and just screenshot parts of the episodes on your VLC player. It's like, what the hell is that? So to me, that's the one fumble so far for the Avatar set. They also released the list for the archetypes of the Jumpstart boosters, and it's like 40 plus. I think it's 46 or something. And one of them, each of them has like one variant or something like that. So thank God it looks like it's going to be like an actual Jumpstart that happens to be Avatar themed, instead of what they did with, they did like the Lord of the Rings and the March of the Machine and the Phyrexia Jumpstart that were all like, oh, we only have 5 archetypes, and each of the 5 has like 5 variants. So you basically buy a box and you pull 5 boosters, and it's very likely you're going to get all 5 archetypes immediately, and there's no reason for you to buy a box. And the archetypes were very weak too. It's not like the real Jumpstart where you buy a box of Jumpstart, and it's very rare that you have like more than, you maybe have like 5 repeated archetypes, but they will have like variants. So with Avatar, it looks like that will be the case. That's good. So weirdly enough, I don't know, and some people say that, well, in Spider-Man it's because it was supposed to be a Beyond set, and they kind of, roll it back, and that's why the cards are hurt by it, and I guess, but at the same time, it's like, listen, if you want to half-ass it, just keep it as a Beyond booster, and let's go. I mean, Beast Whisperer, for 2 and 2 green, is an Elf Druid. It's a 2/3 Elf Druid that says, whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card. Okay, not bad. You can also tell the power scaling in a lot of these. You can tell the year that we are in, because it's like, damn, these are from 2018. These cards are copyrighted 2018, and you can really look at some of those and go like, damn, that thing is not good. Then the other half, to be honest, I thought I'm really talking a lot. I mean, yes, it's a podcast. That's supposed to be the point of this. But I was like, man, only a box. I don't know if it's going to be enough to do like the length of a box. And it's like, oh, I guess I don't trust my own tongue. I'm really curious. Like, I really want to find a use for these things, and I can't think of one. I mean, I can use them as a bookmark. You can put any type of card here, I guess, but you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. Don't shame me. We are raised. We are conditioned. Condition is the word I'm looking for. We are conditioned by these games to value cardboard. Don't shame me because I like all types of cardboard. All cardboard is equal in value. Well, not really, but you know what I mean. Which it just makes it very funny that it's like all these cards are the same, but then suddenly one is like it has different things on it, and say, "Oh, this one is valuable." The humans are amazing. We're doing EZ. So yeah, that's kind of the thing with the Avatar set so far. And besides that, to be honest, there is not that much happening. I mean, it's kind of the big drama. Like you have the secret lair drama. I have some old secret lairs laying around from where they were like print to demand, and a recent one. I want to do a video about that. One of these days is gonna come out, I guess. I hope. I still need to record it, comparing the different types of secret lairs. And I mean, overall, this was we are like at a happy, uneventful time at the game. I mean, you can tell I'm opening Guilds of Ravnica, so might as well. But Avatar is very close, and I'm, maybe it's because Christmas is close and you get touchy feely around Christmas. But I'm like, okay, that's cool. Let's go. You know what I mean? Experimental Frenzy for 3 and 1 red. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. It's an enchantment. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may play the top card of your library. Okay. You can play cards from your hand. Oh, okay. And 3 and 1 red. Destroy Experimental Frenzy. I love that it has a self-destroy button. Turns out coffee is the weird aunt of invention. Well, actually, that makes sense. And the add card again. That's an interesting card, actually. Very fun to work with. And then, well, after this, we have Lorwyn. Lorwyn, I'm kind of excited about Lorwyn. Not gonna lie. I wasn't around when the first Lorwyn set was released, so I'm not like ultra familiar with this set. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend that like, oh, Lorwyn, my favorite plane. But I like what I see. I like the aesthetic. I like the idea, and it just excites me to go back to MTG lore. Again, nothing against the occasional UB, but that's too much. It's too much. I do feel, by the way, this is part of the conspiracy. It's not so much of a conspiracy because it's true, but I do feel like, why Avatar doesn't have commander decks? Why, my dear, you say? Because this way people are going to buy cards and boosters and sealed product instead of just buying the commander decks. I think Wizards realize that releasing the commander decks is not a good idea for them. For us, it's great. I mean, Doctor Who, Warhammer, I get the 4, boom, there you have it. Final Fantasy is what I think is the best balance. If you just want the commander decks, you have a great selection of what Final Fantasy set is like, and some reprints with Final Fantasy art, and then you also have the set. You can buy singles, you can buy sealed product, whatever. But obviously my favorite type was like Warhammer and Doctor Who. You just buy the commander decks and you have the entire set of cards. Same for Fallout. But it feels like it's obvious that for Wizards that's not as profitable. So for Spider-Man there is no commander deck because of that, also because the set was kind of small. And for Avatar is also, it's not because the set is small, because we even have 40 something archetypes of Jumpstart, plus like the scene, the scenes, the 6 card scenes things that they sell, the commander box thing, etc. And it really just feels that, a lot of people just buy the commander decks, period. And that's not as profitable. Me sometimes, I buy some stuff just for the channel and whatnot, and then what I want is the commander decks. In this scenario, you need to build for the commander deck. And we actually did, Vraska Golgari Queen. Nice art. Planeswalker with the 2 colors that my Super Friends deck doesn't have. I need to figure out a 5 color. The problem with 5 colors, I like 5 colors decks, but at the same time, well, let me read this card and then we talk about it. 1 black and 1 green is a 4 loyalty Vraska Planeswalker, and it says that you get +2. You may sacrifice another permanent. If you do, you gain 1 life and draw a card. -3, destroy target non-land permanent with converted mana cost 3 or less. And -9, you get an emblem with whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, that player loses the game. God damn! Okay. Crazy. And you start with 4, so you technically need to, without proliferate and anything like that, you need to go +2 3 times. That means you may sacrifice another permanent. If you do, you gain 1 life and draw a card. And it says you may, so you can still get the +2. And then that -9 makes you immediately very, very, very dangerous. I mean, any creature you control deals combat damage to a player. I mean, in Commander, that shit is crazy. But obviously, the moment you put this card on the table, everyone is going to come after you. Which may not be a problem, but and if you're playing Golgari, maybe you kind of want to put your creatures in line to get to die and to bring them back. I don't know. Maybe. The color identity. This is the other topic that I wanted to touch today, which is kind of old news to a degree, but now it's kind of cementing, and is actually relevant to Ravnica of all planes. You may have seen that there is this. It was like some weeks ago. Gavin did, and I think we touched upon it like slightly. Gavin did this announcement. Gavin Verhis did this. Verhis, I think it is how it's pronounced. Did this announcement about they are thinking, and I love that we are thinking, which is like there is a set that we are developing that it could be very useful if we do this. So we're kind of same as what they did with. How do you call it? With Age of Eternities, which sounds like it feels like an eternity ago, and it's literally the most recent set. You know what they did, right? Now, like vehicles can be vehicles and artifacts, or vehicles can be commanders without having the explicit text to say it, like Shurikai Genesis Engine. And they did a change, obviously, because of the space stations on Age of Eternities. Now, I don't want to sound conspiranoid again in the same video. This is like a third conspiracy. This is the thing with wizards. Sometimes you don't know if you should attribute them like mad genius status or like, fumble into success kind of thing. Or they're just like mean corporate and things just happen and they're just like, okay, let's take advantage of it. And, I do think a lot of these things are premeditated. Like, it's difficult not to get conspiranoid about the commander going to wizards. I mean, I love Gavin. I think he's the best exponent of wizards and magic, or the best poster boy for wizards and magic. And I think has a lot more favor than, for example, Rosewater has. So, that there is that. I'm not complaining about him specifically getting the thing, but there was that whole drama with the cards that were coincidentally used in 2 sets as poster cards, as chase cards for Ixalan and for Commander Masters, only for after those 2 sets are released to get banned. And they said like, oh, we were thinking about this for a while. I was like, yeah, and yet you waited for those 2 sets to be released with the chase card. So, conspiracies, obviously, I'm not saying that, those people, it's easy to think both ways. You can think that it's just a coincidence. You can think that these guys actually got together with someone from Wizards and, all these guys are, or almost all these guys from the old Commander committee are content creators. So it's not difficult to think that, things can happen. You want premium card, you want product, you want things, you know what I mean? So you can think both ways. Not saying that's happening, but you can think, it's easy to imagine that. It doesn't seem like a crazy hard scenario. And then, it happened like Secret Lair, right? It's like, oh no, because the community is misbehaving, we are giving this to Wizards. Happens that it kind of makes sense that Wizards now has the format and they can just change whatever they want. And I know what you're going to say, and I will say it in the professor's voice, because that's kind of my Gemini Cricket, which is Commander is a casual format. So, and since Commander is a casual format, it doesn't really matter that Wizards owns it, because they never own it to a degree. Like Commander is whatever the hell you want. Commander is the friends we made along the way, quite literally. Like Commander is just you play on your kitchen table, and you can play with proxies, you can play with whatever the hell. The idea was that it had like deck building restrictions. It was kind of interesting, and this pin that deck building restrictions thing. It will come later. That's a literacy technique. That's a technique use in writing called foreshadowing. Pin that on the wall about deck building restrictions. But it's like a punk format. It's an anti-format. You don't need 4 cards. You have like a pet card that is a card that you use. You can use, as long no one cares, so you can use proxies, right? Some people didn't care about proxies, and some people still don't care about proxies, but it is what it is. Like, no one cares. It's a kitchen table format. Now suddenly, but it had its restrictions, which is what makes it fun. Now suddenly Wizards goes, well, you know what? We're releasing a format. We're releasing a set, sorry. And that set uses spaceships a lot. And that will be great if those things could be commanders. So now we're going to say that all vehicles can be commanders, which is a thing that kind of flew under the radar because people were mad about Spider-Man, I guess. But the thing is, they didn't need to do that. Like, they just needed to add an extra line of text saying this creature or this thing can be your commander. But they wanted to change the format. And, the same way that the tiers, but the tiers are a thing. Like, the tiers are basically, I don't mind about that, because the tier system means there is someone that is being paid for that really knows about Magic, someone or someones. So Gavin and his team, a lot of people that know more about Magic than a lot of normal people, and they come together with this system, and that's like a guide that we can use. And since Wizards is the one saying that that's the tier system, we can all refer to it, right? It's like a guiding light. It's not a hard imposition because, well, it's not an official commander. It's not an official sanctioned format. So, bang, 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 bang. But suddenly they say, oh, this is actually also legal. And people are like, that's kind of weird, but okay, I guess. And now they're saying, well, the color identity, we're going to switch it. And that's kind of interesting. And why? I don't know if I have a card here to give you an example. Otherwise, I will go to EZ because I saw it on EZ. Or EZ, well, like this one. So cards like this one that have a multicolored pip for their cost or their mana identity, color identity, sorry, they can be now used both in a mono red deck and a mono white deck, or a deck that needs red or a deck that needs white, which is, it makes sense, at the same time it doesn't. And I feel it kind of cheapens Commander a little bit, but at the same time it's like, Wizards, why are you trying to do that? Suddenly this is the thing that you want to introduce. Who asked for this? Like, a lot of people are like, oh, now I can put this card on this deck, and that will make it even more broken, which, that's going to be fun for you, I guess. But when I look at this card is part red and part white. And this means that this card is both red and white. It's true that you don't pay both of the costs, but, let's remember that in Commander, the color identity is defined by the symbols on the card. So that's why Kenrith, even though it's a card that you only pay white mana for, is a multicolor commander because it has all the other colors in the description. So if we go by that logic, you have both colors here, and it's true that it's like one or the other. But I can have Kenrith on a mono white. I can have Kenrith and never use the other color abilities, and that doesn't mean that they are not there, right? It's like you need to pay white for Kenrith, and then you can use the other colors. Or not, and here's the same, you can use red or white, but it means that it's both things. It flings both ways. Changing it to just being one, to being both things, but actually being able to say, no, this card is only red or only white, even though to a degree it makes sense, it just cheapens the entire thing. The goal was to have restrictions on deck building, and that's my whole point around multicolor commanders. And let me just read the last card otherwise. Like Light of the Legion for 4 and 2 white is a 5/5 angel. It says it has flying, it has mentor. Whenever this creature attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on target attacking creature with lesser power. And when Light of the Legion dies, put a +1/+1 counter on each white creature you control. And then an ad. Very Boros. Not boring, but Boros. Nice. The last booster is going to be the Ymir. I think that the order was basically inverted, but so Celestia. So that's kind of my point. For example, one of my favorite decks of mine, I have like, one of these days, maybe I should, I don't know if you guys want to see that, but one of these days I should make a deck. I should make a video about my favorite decks. Some of them are custom, and some of them are precons or pumped up precons. So some precons I just like the concept so much, but sometimes I need to spice it up to be able to pick up the pace against some of my friends. So I have modified pump up versions of those decks, going with the rules that we defined right in my play group. Like, we can only go with $50 of upgrades, $300 of upgrades, or something like that, right? Like you can only put 10 proxies or something. It depends on the group, depends on the era that we are. Right now we are the fixed budget era. But if you look at my favorite decks, a lot of them, like at least 2 of them are multicolor. Like one precon that I like that is a me thing, because I acknowledge that the deck is not that good, but and then I just build on top of it, and I kind of like it, but I understand it's not that good. Is I forgot the name of the Jared Cartalion, I think is the name of the commander. The multicolor, that Dominaria United had 2 precons, and one was this red hooded witch that was a legendary tribal deck, or typal, sorry. And the other was Jared Carthalion, I think is the name of the guy. And that was a multicolor deck, and both were planeswalkers. And the whole shebang of that deck is called Painbow. So it's multicolor, and it's 5 colors, and it's about hitting hard. And Jared Cartalion as a commander is not that good, actually. It's like, it gives you stuff, and then generates Cavus, and then his ultimate is kind of but I like the deck because it's full of weird shit that is just there because it's multicolored. And it's easy to upgrade, of course, because it's, multicolor. But it's multicolored, aiming for you to have multicolor cards. So, you put in monocolor cards in there is actually bad for the deck building of the strategy of that deck. So again, it's not the most complex concept, and it's not the best deck in the world, but I like it. And for example, Jora is also another commander that I like, but my problem with multicolor decks is that I like them because I can do a lot of things. The problem is, I can do a lot of things. When you don't have restrictions on what you can build, you know what I mean? So that's kind of also the reason why, and some people may say, like, well, some of the best commanders on competitive EDH are not multicolor, are not 5-color commanders. But I will be like, yes, but that's only because they use the same like 1-2 punch strategy. But most of the best CDH decks are kind of 5 colors in one way or another. So, if you want to go full Super Saiyan against each other, yes, 5 colors is the way. But normally, the fun is in the restriction in building. And I feel like we are moving another restriction from building. The first restriction that they removed, since they have the format, is the vehicles thing. Now every vehicle can be a commander. And some people can be like, well, it's not that crazy. And it's like, okay, now. And now they want to make like dual cards. And a lot of that is, they say, is because of Lorwyn, because there are some cards that are like both, like one color or the other, and they want to like accommodate for it. I feel like they are only going to force the change if the precons need that change. Otherwise, they are just going to either drop it or be like, we're going to revisit it later. The card here, by the way, is Camaraderie. For 4, 1 green and 1 white, is a sorcery that says you gain X life and draw X cards, where X is the number of creatures you control. Creatures you control get +1/+1 until the end of turn. Within the Song of Mat Selesnya, 1 becomes all. Heruj, Selesnya, Hierophant. Okay, and that. And the last one was also the first one, which is Dimir. So to me, the worry is really that. Let's remember that, I think to not just punch wizards. Let me try to be devil's advocate here for a second. Yes, you could say that every time that Wizards has touched Commander in any official capacity, they have screwed the game in some fashion or another. Like at the beginning, it was by printing cards. they printed cards that forced some mechanics or were objectively auto-includes, which, has made Commander more than 99 format. It really has made Commander a, 75 format, because there is always like 25 cards that actually 24 cards that you always need to include. Like, for example, there are a lot of cards that are just like good, right? And like Lotus, the Jeweled Lotus is a card that, it's like, why wouldn't you just add a Jeweled Lotus? Why you just not have a Mana Crypt? Why would you just not? And in defense of Mana Crypt, I think was older to a degree, but the cards that were specifically made for Commander are always kind of broken, even for Commander. Obviously, they are broken in any other format, but even for Commander, those things are wish coin crap. Those things are kind of already broken in Commander. Like the Commander Armor, a lot of things. When they released the Commanders with Eminence, they broke the game, because obviously those Commanders are the best for their strategies. The best Vampire Commander, Edgar Markov. The best Dragon Commander, the Ur-Dragon. Why? Because those freaking things don't even need to be on the battlefield to function. They just by existing, they apply their effects, which kind of breaks the logic of how Commander needs to work. When they released one of the Lutri thing, I don't think it was like on purpose, but it was auto-banned. But when they released the partner mechanic, that kind of broke Commander a little bit. And there is obvious pairings. Some of them are kind of banned right now, or like in some tiers only, because, some pairs are so famous for being obviously the best pairs you can have for CDH that, why having, and, this is the ongoing discussion when it comes to the Commander format and Wizards, which is, it feels like they look at the format and go, no, how can we break this? It's like, well, okay, so you need to put the Commander onto the battlefield for its effect to work. What if we don't? And it's like, okay. And then they go, so one creature is your Commander, right? What if we create a thing called Partner and you can have more than one Commander? It's like, that defeats the purpose a little bit, but okay. Or remember the background one? Background, ironically, I think it was one that was kind of cool, and they didn't like went down on it. They didn't like double down on that shit, which is interesting, because background, yes, it will give like an extra ability to your commander. It gives a spice. It doesn't give you like two creatures, right? So to me, it was kind of cool, and also you could extend it to more color identities. It still breaks the logic of commander, but And now that they have the format, it's like, what if, they did it first with things like Shurikai saying, well, it's a vehicle, but it was designed to be a commander. So, this vehicle can be your commander. And now it's like, well, every vehicle can be a commander, guys. And now they're saying, well, the color identity, the peeps. And all this to say, to be devil's advocate, yes. In order to innovate, in order to try, in order to get cool things, you need to try new things. The game can stall and die. And obviously, from a Wizards perspective, I think is 40% of this and 60% of, well, if we create more powerful cards, we can charge more money. That's called power creep. That's how it works. Midnight Reaper, 2 and 1 black for a 3/2 zombie knight. And it says, whenever a non-token creature you control dies, Midnight Reaper deals 1 damage to you and you draw a card. Not bad. And another card. So, from a Wizard's perspective, I see both sides of the coin, which is, it's kind of cool. I have no usage for this, but it's kind of cool. I think that I understand that they want to try new things. The problem is that they keep touching the one format that is okay, which is like, and yes, obviously the reason is because, you change things, that makes some things more powerful, they sell more product because that's the one format that people play. So obviously the secret layers are going to be for commander specific cards. That's why we have so many lightning greaves and so many command towers and soul rings and all that shit. But it's like, it makes sense, and it's obvious that they want to cater to the format that everyone plays, the format that everyone. And apparently the best way that they find to, power creep that format is to break that format. And I don't agree with it. I mean, at this pace, all of us are gonna just play like Commander, Canadian Highlander, or some other format is gonna be created called like Rogue Commander. Some people are already playing like Dual Commander, which is basically Commander 1v1, and I mean, I get it. That simplifies the politics aspect. It's just like winning, which is a problem with Commander. A lot of people don't want to win; they just want to build castles. But the thing is, Wizards keeps insisting on this instead of like looking at the other formats that are not working, like Standard, that no one is playing that shit, even though they keep saying that it's healthy as it ever been. I mean, maybe on Arena or something, but in person, that thing is dead. And yes, you could say, oh, that's actually because Wizards secretly hates, or not so secretly, hates the LGSs because they are a middleman. They take money from that could just go directly to Wizards, and they just demand things from Wizards. So they want to cut them. That's why they created the secret layers. Those things don't go to the stores. And yes, they said like, oh, some of these are going to be released to the stores directly, but they release the ones that no one cares, like Deadpool and whatnot. Like, they are going around the LGSs, and it's a shame because you can only really play on the LGSs, and they get a lot of money from the physical thing because, either from collectors, from people that play, or just because people want to. There are like FOMO things, like the Infinity Stones or the One Ring, chase things that people want to collect because everyone wants a Black Lotus, and everyone wants for Post Malone to get us out of poverty. That's the dream if you play Magic. You get a pool that Post Malone will buy and you get out of poverty. But basically, the problem with that, and I guess the people that play more often, I guess play digitally on Arena or Magic Online, but the problem is that they keep touching the one format that works with weird changes that no one asked for. When the problems of that format are the tier system that is not as polished as it could be, and like having cards that really push for creative strategies, not breaking the rules of Commander. Commander has like 3 basic rules. Like, okay, you have one card that is your commander. They are already attempted, and that commander has to be summoned into the battlefield to do things. They attempted against that twice or 3 times already. You can only have it's like 99 different cards, and they keep adding things to have more than 99 cards, or to have always the same 20 cards in all decks, because those are obviously the better ones. And the color identity, all the legendary creatures can be your commander, and the color identity has to be the one of your commander. And they change it to now vehicles can be, and the color identity can be whatever the hell you want. So they keep attempting against that instead of trying to, make the game more accessible, so people can buy the cards to play Standard on a Friday Night Magic without having to pay the cost of a modern video game, that is developed by 500 people and, and gives you hours and hours of fun. You spend $80 on that, or you're going to spend $80 on 5 boosters, or what, like 10, like on 10 boosters or something. You know what I mean? Or like 130 for a booster box. That's that you have that, or Pioneer. Remember Pioneer? Well, Pioneer is a thing. Wizards doesn't remember about that, but so people are really just going around. Like, why is Pauper a thing? Pauper is a thing because people don't have the money that Wizard wants, and they want to use some of these shitty cards that we normally don't use. Why was Commander a thing? Because people have a lot of shit in their houses, and they wanted to build fun things agreeing with a format. And Wizards obviously wants to keep selling product. The reason, and this is the last point, I promise the video ends, the reason why Magic the Gathering is one of the longest board games in existence, and is the mother of all TCGs, and is the point of reference for a lot of things, is precisely because it's so modular that it allows to include expansions, and at the same time, as a business model, is very good because it allows you to include expansions in a way that is basically gambling. It's basically loot boxes. You open boosters to see what you get, and you need multiple copies to be able to play and whatnot. And back in the day, the prices for being in the Pro Tour and whatnot, those were worth it. Nowadays, that thing is more or less there. They at least brought it back to a degree, so that's not bad. But how can they make it so that you buy new things? It needs to be interesting. It needs to have something to pull you in again. So they have 3 ways of doing this. They have the easy way, which is the Fortnite route, which is what they are doing, which is, well, oh, you guys like Ninja Turtles? You guys like Doctor Who? You guys like Avatar? You like Spider-Man? We have that. So you have both existing players, players that stop playing, and new players going, okay, I can go there, and you can just sell product because people go, I want the cards with that, right? You have option 2, which is you create things that are more powerful. So the people that are already playing are going to go after that. And these are not mutually exclusive, by the way. You can have an Universes Beyond set with powerful cards. Look at the Lord of the Rings, look at Final Fantasy. And you have the third option, which is you make it so the system, you make like new concepts, like, oh, look at the city of Ravnica. You make like new concepts yourself that are both mechanically and flavorfully new, so that people are like, okay, I want to go back, or I want to keep playing, etc. So they dropped more this one, and they went for the power creep, and they look at this shiny thing that you already recognize because nostalgia, right? And that's not bad per se, until it is, because we have weak sets being released, and Commander, which is escape format that people created to not play the main format. Because, some people say that it was Sheldon and company that created the format, and some people say that in a magazine, I think it's Duelist, actually the first person that says that, I think is from Mexico or something like that, and says like, oh, created a format that we play like this, and it's basically Proto Commander, and that's the format. And I believe that in both instances, it was like, listen, I have these cool cards, I want to make this thing, but I don't want to do like a standard game, and I have more people that I want to play with at the same time, and that's how you created the format. And that's great, because Magic allows for that, or for things like Forgetful Fish, which is great. But at the same time, greed and corporate, right? So it is what we have. So I guess my ask is, please stop trying to break Commander. Commander works because it is what it is. I don't think it's going to die, because people basically just want to ignore Wizards to a degree and just keep playing the way they're doing it. But I think it's going to evolve into a situation where Commander is going to be like a refugee type of format, where it's like you're going to have like the real Commander that uses the tier system. And, I wouldn't be surprised if next year Wizards says that they're going to, now Commander is an officially sanctioned format in stores, and why not? And yes, that format is the one that you play at LGS with people that you don't know, and because you use a tier system, and you have to go by the rules and the official rules and all that stuff. And then you're going to have like Refugee Commander, which is going to be like Canadian Highlander, Dual Commander, or just Commander, but I don't give a fuck what Wizard says. That basically is going to be Commander with the old Commander rules. Some people are listening to this and going like, well, actually, old Commander is EDH, and you could only play with the Elder Highlander dragons, right? So that's the real Commander is not real Commander anymore. It's like, I know, but you know what I mean. Like, that's a normal evolution, because the original dragons were not that flexible to build anything, really. So I guess it's going to be like OG, like, like World of Warcraft, that you have like the World of Warcraft Classic or Vanilla or whatever, and you have like pirate servers. I think it's going to be the same, which is going to be like, people are going to play like Vanilla Commander or OG Commander or Refugee Commander. And it's going to be with all rules, and people are going to just proxy the fuck out of everything. And I think a lot of those people are either just going to walk away from Magic, or just going to keep playing Magic, but not buying stuff or going to the official channels, because it's going to become very mainstream that you can just sit on your kitchen table with 3 of your friends and just print the cards that you want, and just do it. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that this really starts to feel like, the fable of the chicken with the golden eggs. It is really starting to feel like that. It really feels like Wizards is this close to killing the chicken. So yeah, I mean, it's a company. I don't care, I don't own the company, but I would recommend that they try to not kill the chicken, because a lot of us grew up playing this game or have some degree of love for the game, and it's just sad. Or, just play some of the others. Thank you very much for watching / listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, please. I love reading your opinions on my opinions, so that I can opinion on those on the next podcast, and so on. I guess next week, depending on what arrives first at the mother base, I will open the other box of Ravnica Legends, and let's see how this keeps evolving. I'm very excited for what's up to come. Well, carefully excited. And I will see you next time on PAX and Recreation. Thank you very much and bye.